Welcome to PodCapers, the official podcast of A Place to Hang Your Cape. And this week, some sort of joke relating to that one Spandau Ballet song, I don't know. We're talking about Lifeline! Cue the music! Hello there, Capers, and as I said, welcome to PodCapers, the official podcast of A Place to Hang Your Cape. My name's Scott James Merridew, and this is the show where we talk about various geek and nerd-related topics, and I'm joined each week by a very special different guest. Now, my guest today is a brilliant writer of comics from all the way from America, a place called Jefferson City, I believe, a place I'm sure that was named after a particular sitcom family, I'm sure. Capers, give it up for Nandor Fox Shaffer!
Hello, PodCapers listeners.
They're called the Capers.
The Capers.
Because PodCapers listeners, it's just a bit too wordy and a bit too impersonal.
I hear you there. Capers, everything's better with less syllables.
Absolutely. Unless, of course, you're talking about a spectacularly well-written comic book, which is what I think you've got here, Nandor.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
I haven't had a chance to look at a lot of it because this comic isn't quite finished yet, is it?
It isn't. The script is entirely done, and almost all of the art is done, but I haven't finished working with my letterer on all the rest of the pages.
So still some work to do, which is why if you want, Capers, you can preview a few pages and stuff that has been finished on Kickstarter.
That's right. Yeah, we have the first 14 pages of the graphic novel free for everyone to read, and so it contains the first chapter of the book, and I think it's a really good appetizer for the entire meal, if you want to call it that.
I'm certainly hungry for more. Jeez.
All right. Well, hey, that's what we want.
I want to find out more about this character. Oh, dang, you're a tease, aren't you, Nando? You're just a tease.
I know. I love teasing people. So like throughout the last month, like all of November, I've been like teasing art from the book like every day, and so it's been like so exciting to see people's like reactions, or they're like, well, what's this about, or like why is the art changing? And then all those questions. I love answering questions and seeing people perk up and be curious about what I'm doing.
And we will go into all of that in but a moment. Before we do that, tell us about you. What do you do? What's your reason for being?
Oh, my reason for being. That's a really good question. I mean,
what is your place in the grand cosmic ballet that is known as reality?
What is my existential being? So I'm a pretty simple guy. I live in Jefferson City, Missouri, which is right smack dab in the middle of the U.S. So I'm a Midwestern boy, but
I have no context for what that means.
Yeah.
My definition of America is limited to New York, California, and maybe some of the racist bits down below.
Oh, that's so interesting to me. Like, and probably the same here, like with when it comes to the UK and everything. Like, I actually have a big, I'm kind of envious of the UK because
Why would you be envious of anything involving the UK right now? We are not to be envied.
Because I love your guys' culture. Like, I don't know, like I love just so much about the UK. Every time anyone asks me, like, if you were to visit anywhere in the world, where would you want to go? It's always, London or Cardiff, like I would want to go.
Wales! No! Don't do it! Don't go to Wales! Lovely people, terrible place! Lovely people, terrible place! No!
Why is it so terrible? You have to convince me not to come to your country.
Sheep.
Sheep.
Sheep. No, not sheep. Not sheep. Sheep.
Oh.
Sheep as in bear.
Oh. Okay.
That's what. And first of all, I want to point out Wales, not my country. Very much not my country. My country I mean, I guess my birth country, the country I spent most of my life growing up with, was England. But my country right now, as much as I can claim it, is Scotland.
Scotland, yes.
Slightly better Scottish accent than mine was, I'll give you that. But yeah, and so people think because we're called the United Kingdom of Great Britain, we are in fact a single country, but we're really not. We're really not. It's very, very different in lots of different places.
Yeah, I could see how that misconception is totally taken. And I mean, especially in America, we're not like, see, we can kind of bad talk our countries if we want to.
Yes, please, let's do it.
But yeah, like with America, we're such a, I don't know, like fast food society, it's like we're so, and we don't
the
really
spectre
think,
of commerce and capitalism weighs heavily upon the brow of most Americana.
Yes, it does, and we're just, I don't know, we don't think for ourselves, and
I wouldn't say that's true. No, I think.
I guess I don't know. I think for me, like the masses, I'm always like, it feels like a lot of the time culture here is very just star centric and all about I don't know, like what the new craze is. And I mean, I guess it's kind of like that everywhere, but I'm very much a observer. Like I love observing culture and seeing what's going on. So it's very interesting for me to kind of just sit back and kind of
watch the world burn.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at this glorious dumpster fire that is human civilization. Look at it go.
Look at it. Just let the flames rise.
It's not about the money. It's about sending a message.
Yeah, I know. Like it's really crazy. And here in America, I guess all over the world, people love the Joker, and maybe that's a reflection on society. I don't know. I'm just.
Well, I mean, why the hell do you think so many people want to play him in so many movies? I mean, for God's sake, we just had one version, now we're getting another version with Joaquin Phoenix, and apparently he's really into it, and I'm scared to know what he'll do.
Yeah, I know. Like,
I still haven't forgiven him for Inherent Vice. Fuck that movie.
I know. And that movie he made, I forget what it's called, but. Or that thing he was trying to do with rapping that was actually a con, and you're like, what's going on in there, man? Like, so, what are you doing?
Rapping?
Yeah, he was oh, you don't know this. Yeah, he said he was gonna quit acting, like quit his career in acting and become a rapper, and he made this mockumentary, I think is what they call it. It's like a documentary, but
all fake.
Yeah, it's like a parody, and it's like his rise to becoming a rapper. And he totally psyched everyone. Everyone thought he was gonna stop being an actor and be a rapper now. And that was, I don't know, like 7 years ago. I don't know, maybe more.
I must have completely missed that. Wow, that's. Yeah, okay, sure. Well, you know what, Joaquin Phoenix, you follow your dreams, you madcap weirdo.
Yeah, I after this is done, like I totally recommend watching that film or looking into it, because it's crazy. Like, I mean, it's really crazy how far deep he went into it.
Yeah, because well, the world is crazy right now, which is great because it means we can do anything, but it's bad in that anything can happen. Oh God, I just like the future of Britain. We can all see it coming, and it's like the light at the end of the tunnel, but we're not quite sure. Is that a light, or is the end of the tunnel been bricked up by the Roadrunner? Yeah,
I don't. That's a question for I guess the ages right now.
Hindsight, I'm looking forward to the day when I tell my grandchildren, and that, kids, is why all of the UK went to shit, because one arsehole said, "Hey, let's have a referendum."
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe, I don't know, maybe like I want to come to the UK just because of all the I don't really like talking about politics, but just what's going on in America right now. It's like it kind of just makes you want to like go away for a little bit and then come back and
Go to Canada. Nothing bad happens in Canada.
you know, you kind of have a point there, but like I don't know, I think I would love being surrounded by you know, just what UK has to offer and
Come to Edinburgh.
and
That's what I live in Edinburgh. It's a fantastic city and a fantastic country. I would
yeah.
recommend it to any tourist. We're inundated with tourists at various points throughout the year, but at the same time, it is something worth experiencing.
Yeah.
I mean, we've just gotten all the Christmas lights up in around Princess Street and George Street. Well, I say just around, started now. It's been up since the beginning of November because, you know, who wants to celebrate Christmas for just like 1 month when you can celebrate it for 2?
You know what? That is very similar to how we do it over here. It's
But you've
like
got like Thanksgiving, like so it's halfway
yeah,
through November, whenever it is. Like you've got
it's
this other
true.
holiday, so it's like you start celebrating Christmas, then you take a bit of a break from celebrating Christmas to celebrate this other holiday, and then you go right back to celebrating Christmas, despite the fact that it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I totally hear you. Sometimes I wonder if they're trying to like kick Thanksgiving out of, you know, just being a holiday sometimes.
You're a
Especially
problematic holiday, Thanksgiving. We don't want you anymore.
yeah, you get in the way of the Christmas cheer and the vibes.
Yeah, we don't want to be thinking about pox blankets while we're supposed to be having this festive cheer.
Yeah,
Like,
that's right.
I don't know anything about American history. I don't know if that's what happened, but I'd be willing to bet. We were talking about you at one point. What the hell? We're taking a dark
Yeah,
turn
what
into the bad side of history. Jeez. So, how did you end up being a writer, specifically for comics?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I so I started pretty young. I'm only 21, and I started writing my first comic when I was 17, and I had just graduated high school, and I was kind of in that. My parents weren't very. They weren't like, oh, you got to go to college right away, or you know, they weren't like pushing me in that direction, and I really respect them and thank them for that because they were wanting me to make my own decisions, and you know, let me take the path I want. And so I was kind of in a hiatus, like in between like the education stuff, what I wanted to do with my life, and uh, I was just at this point where I was like, you know, what if I don't want to go to college, or what if I don't want to, you know, do that, and what would I do, or what do I want to do?
Maybe I want
And
to backpack around South America. Maybe I want to go and build like schools in Africa. Maybe I want to go around the country in a van and solve mysteries with my talking dog. You don't know.
exactly, yeah. I mean, like, sky's the limit. Why limit to, you know, 4 years of the rest of my, you know, the next 4 years of my life to just being in a classroom?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, who would want to do that? Oh, wait, I did just that, and it worked out so great for me. Oh, God, there's so much debt. There's so much debt. Oh, God.
That's who I was afraid of becoming.
Yeah, you should be afraid of becoming me, Capers, all of you. I'm a cautionary tale.
Oh, that's good.
Or sort of, you
But
know, be an inspiration, you know, go to university, kids, and one day you could be hunched over a laptop in front of a microphone wearing red and blue 3D glasses, talking to people far more interesting than you.
no, you're very interesting, Scott. I wouldn't say that.
No, I'm weird. There's a difference.
Okay. So yeah, anyways, like I was just at this point in my life where I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I had I guess going back, like what really put me on this journey was being a writer and trying to uh, be that full time, or you know, make a paycheck out of it, was when I was 13. I There's a GameInformer.com is this video game website, and I would write blogs on this website, and every week they would have like what they called blog herding, and it was this weekly special I don't know, thing that they would do where they would pick out the best blogs that were written like in the past week or two, and I wanted to get on there. Like my 12, 13-year-old self was like, "Oh yeah, I want to get on this, site." And
That's my Everest.
yeah, exactly. I was like, my life goal is to be on this video game website, blog, like pick of the week, and I made it. I made it when I was like 12 or 13, and it really encouraged me. And I kept writing blogs, trying to get on there, and I would make it every time I would write a blog. I would make it on this website, and I thought, I wonder if they know I'm only 13. Like I doubt anyone did, but that made me think maybe I'm pretty good at writing. Like I could totally pursue this, and so I just kept writing articles, and then I got at one point I thought maybe I should go into journalism or like be a reporter or something. But then I thought that's just boring. Like I'd rather write stories, and I've grown up. I grew up with.
Shout out to all journalists in the world out there. Your job is boring.
Yes, it is very no. But I just it's not as I have a I wasn't tapping into my creative side when it came to articles, and I wanted to. I wanted to be creative with writing, and so part of that, part of my brain wasn't being used where I wanted it to be, and part of my heart wasn't being used, and I was like, I want to write stories. Like I don't want to just write. I didn't want to write about what other people are doing. I wanted other people to write about what I was doing, and that's kind of how I looked at it. Because I just thought I had something to say. Like I knew I had stories that I think would resonate with people, and so I kind of made a shift, and I thought of this idea for my first comic, which is called Seasons. And I remember being on the back porch of my house, and I was thinking, if I were to write a comic book, and I had thought about writing a novel or something, but I thought a comic book is a good exercise where I don't have to it's limited, like 22 pages. You can write an issue, and you don't have to feel so overwhelmed to like write 400 pages of a book or something. And I thought I'll start small, and I'll see if I can even make a comic. And I grew up with comics. I love comics. I mean, this is a part of my DNA, so I thought maybe I could do this. And I was on the back porch of my house, and I thought, if I were to write a comic, what kind of comic would I want to write? And superheroes, they have one power set. We know Superman's powers, we know the Flash's powers, we know Spider-Man's powers, and all those characters.
You say that, they keep giving Superman powers. It's just like, crap, we don't know what to do with this character. Let's throw in a new power. Shit, just give him whatever he wants.
That's true, and sometimes they take away powers, and I'm like, why would you take that away?
When Superman first started, his powers were basically just anything the writers could think of, and literally in one issue, he had like super weaving powers.
Yeah. And then remember in Superman 2, at the end in the Fortress of Solitude, he like throws whatever that. His like symbol at Zod, and it like captures him or something.
I'm gonna throw this cellophane shield at you, which I suddenly have for some reason. That's never been explained or brought up or referenced even once. Just like, there's something I can do now. I'll throw it everywhere. You should see me at parades. Shit.
Yeah, what do they call that? Like, I don't know. It's just like a plot, like
Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, Ex Machina. Yeah, that's what it is. So
because he couldn't just like punch Zod. He couldn't just like backhand him or push him away. Oh no. He needs to throw part of his costume at him.
Yeah, like can you imagine that conversation? Like they were like, so how are we gonna, take Zod out? And then some guy just out of nowhere goes, oh, let's throw this, let's make up this new ability that Superman has, and he can throw his symbol at Zod. It's like, if we talked about that now, if that happened in like Man of Steel or something, like everyone would have like rioted or something.
I'm pretty sure Man of Steel caused people to riot anyway, but I take your point. Yeah.
Yeah, even more so.
Honestly, it'd be far more dignified if he took like off his red boots and just chucked one of them at him. Just like, take that, you bearded man cleavage weirdo. Kneel before Zod, foot before Zod, in your face.
Exactly.
Yeah, this brings us to seasons, which very graciously gave
Yeah.
me a chance to read. And honestly, you say you wanted to comment to connect with people and to resonate with people. I really, really, really super identified with the main character in Seasons.
You did. All right.
More
That's
so
awesome.
than I have done for a lot of characters in a long time. I get to read a lot of stuff for this show. I get to really like a lot of the stuff that's on the show, but I really did identify with Fletcher as the main
Yes.
character in Seasons because he's not going through a pretty great time, and in the last couple of months I've not gone through a great time, and it's eerily similar. I'm not going to say I've been shooting light out of my hands or anything like that, but yeah, it's eerily similar. Have you been like
Yeah.
peering into my mind soul or something? I don't know.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm really, I'm not glad you've been going through a hard time, but I'm glad, I'm glad that you can really relate and feel that with that character because um, I've been through the same thing and not exactly the way Fletcher does, but going into that story, I really wanted to, it was therapeutic, it was cathartic for me, and I knew it would resonate with people. I thought I'm not the only person that's felt this before in my life. So,
In fairness, what he's going through is a very human thing to go through. It's something that a lot of people will identify with, not just me. That would be a very weird comic if they just made it something that would only ever appeal to one person.
right. That
And
would
there's a
be
weirdo British person from across the Atlantic. It'd be weird.
that would be very weird. Yes. Be like this story. Like who is this for?
And
What
there's
is
just
this for?
one guy. Oh my god, it's for me. Yes.
Yeah, that's like one. That's that one backer on a Kickstarter project.
Well, I found my passion. Click. Yeah.
Yep.
So what? I
Exactly.
mean, what is Seasons about for the Capers?
Yeah. Yeah. So, Seasons is a story that follows Fletcher, the main character, through 1 year of his life. And with each passing season, he gains new powers and abilities. And that's going back to my comment about how superheroes only have one power set. This is the idea that made me start writing Seasons was what if there was a character in my head at the time, maybe a superhero. I was kind of just thinking like some person with powers. What if the powers changed? Like what if the power set changed? And how do you make sense of that like in the story? And so I thought,
Seasons of Powers.
yeah. And seasons change and life change, like we change throughout our lives, and I thought that would be a really, I think, potent and totally reasonable, but also somewhat poetic, and a lot of metaphor there for just a lot of different things. And so I kept building upon that idea, and
So it
I
makes sense.
wanted.
Makes sense. Then you started in spring. New beginnings, as it were.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what it's all about. It's about going through 1 year of this person's life and seeing how he grows and how he, is he going to be the person that we all see him like he could be? Like, is he going to be, who is he going to turn out to be in a year, and what would that look like, and how do you break someone down and build them up again? And in a lot of ways, it's a uh, somewhat similar to a hero's journey, but it's a lot different because
It's a much more personal hero's journey. It's a much more
yeah,
intrinsic and introspective hero's journey in a way.
exactly, yeah, it's all about you as like you can put yourself in Fletcher's place and think about your life and different aspects of your life and different relationships you have with people, and kind of meditate on that, at least like uh, breathe and sit with it. And that's what I wanted Seasons to be. Even though it's a very big project, it's going to be four graphic novels, over 400 or 500 pages of content all together. And but I wanted a very character-driven story, and to really, comics. This was another thing about the medium itself that helped me with kind of formulating seasons as a whole was, we've followed these characters, Marvel DC characters through 75 years, and we've even more with some, but like we've grown with these characters. And I thought comics, you kind of grow up with these characters throughout your life, and I wanted to kind of take that idea and put it into a story of like, yeah, let's grow with a character through 1 year and let's see who he becomes. And and it's so exciting because with each season there's going to be a different obstacle in his way, like a different villain or a different relationship that he has to either cut off or bring together. There's a lot of different ranges of changes that Fletcher will go through, and it's something that he's going to have to come to grips with. And in the first volume, Spring, which is out right now, you get to learn a lot about him, his personal struggles, and where he is in his life. And he's in a bad place. This is the bottom. He's at the bottom, rock bottom. And where do you go from there? What does that look like in someone's life? How do you bring someone out of that? And that was really interesting, really very. I had to go to dark places, things I've been through or things that I've thought of, and kind of bring that to light and really take from what I know and put that and inject that into a character, and hopefully people will relate. And like I said, I'm so glad you did.
I think that's maybe part of the reason why, because it is so well written, and it feels, because like there's some fantastical science fiction-y magic realism stuff going on in the comic, but it feels like a very human story. It feels like a very realistic, like the emotions are real. It's not like Gadzooks, I must stop this vile villain before he destroys the world. It's much more sophisticated. That it's much like how a lot of superheroes are now, but it takes a lot more time of itself to fully explore this character and his journey and where he's going, not just in terms of what is happening on the pages in the plot and the narrative, but also his internal emotions, his internal perspective, and the perspectives of other people and other, versions of him, without going into too much details. And it is truly interesting. It's one of those things where you really are. It's one of those things where I think there's often two different kinds of stories for these sort of characters. One where you're watching the character and just watching, and going on a journey with them, and it's a lot of fun. And then there's stories where you are in the character, you are completely inside this bubble of his head and his world and his perspective, and it's a very intriguing, otherworldly, but also I think a bit more satisfying experience, because it's the scope, in terms of scope of the plot, it's a bit more, not necessarily limited, but the limitations, as it were, are more sharply defined, but it means there's a wealth of content going on within this small pocket of existence, shall we say.
Yeah. I mean, people, we are complicated. Humans are so complicated.
Tell me about it, jeez.
Yeah, don't you agree? Yeah, so like, there's so much, there's, breadth and width of story that you can totally go into with the human psyche. And seasons, especially Spring, but the series as a whole is very psychological, and I've always loved that in comics. It's something that I've loved about the new generation of comics from the last 20 years or so is really getting into the head of characters and seeing what they're actually feeling without them verbalizing it. I think that's really important, because that's what we do all the time. We might feel a certain way about something, but we might not say it. We might not speak it. And then when you make a character speak something they're feeling kind of out of nowhere in a comic, it comes across very fake or very.
You can't just have your characters announce how they feel. That makes me feel angry.
Exactly. You can't be like, oh, I'm very saddened by that decision. It's like that no one says that.
I do when I'm trying to convey as much shade as I can, just like when I see someone doing something stupid, I just say to them, point blank, staring in their face, I am very saddened by that decision, which is a British way of saying, bitch, you didn't! Yeah, but yeah, you're absolutely right, and when you internalize that and you just have the thoughts of the character, it conveys, as you say, so many things that would seem unnaturalistic in a very naturalistic way, and it also means we can accept the world more readily. I'm not going to lie, when the fantastic stuff started happening, I thought, whoa, okay, I was not expecting this, and I was wondering, like, is this actually happening, or is this all going on inside of his head, and it was really intriguing.
Well, that's good. Yeah, that's you're not the first person to say that, and that's totally intentional.
Oh crap! I'm being unoriginal in my analysis.
No, no, I just that's I'm always very intrigued by what people think about what I'm doing and what I've written, and Seasons is very, you can kind of interpret it in different ways, but it's meant to be almost that magical realism experience, that like the feeling that this is really happening. It's grounded, but what I'm showing you, what's visually being shown, it kind of makes you question reality, and like, is this really going on, or is it just going on with Fletcher? And I mean, that's a big thing about the story and what he can do and his powers is he's kind of the only person that notices these things, that can, like, fight what I call the shadow selves in Seasons Volume 1 Spring. And even though things are happening to all these other people, in their eyes, they can't see, they can't tell what's going on, but Fletcher can. And it's kind of this exploration of, putting a character in a position that you go, am I insane? Am I really seeing this? Or why can't anyone else see anything that I'm seeing?
It's blurring the lines of reality, but I think it's doing it in a very smart way. A lot of things I see just sort of blur the lines of reality for the sake of blurring the lines of reality. Say, ooh, did it really happen or did it not? Ooh, we don't know. Ooh. Yeah. And it's just like, you're not being as intriguing as you think you are. Hook. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Hook. Via fucking Mr. Smee at the end there. What was that about? Anyway, it still annoys me. It's just like, his kids remember that, they went to this place, they show the magic pixie dust and that weird old guy lost his marbles flying around. It's like, it obviously happened, so why would you have Bob Hoskins as Mr. Smee just singing in the park and he's back in his old clothes again? Why? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why? Give me a damn answer! I'm sorry, we were talking about you.
Do you have a problem with Spielberg's Hook?
I have a couple of problems with it. I think it's a very good movie, but I have issues with it. I have severe issues with it.
Okay.
Just like, okay, but why? Okay, but why? And I mean, why? Why is the little girl suddenly singing? Why is she singing? Is that music diegetic or non-diegetic? Is someone playing that music somewhere off screen, or is it just all in her head and all the pirates just standing around singing? It's like, why is she singing? Why is the little girl just singing? There's no music around. Why is she singing? It's just, I don't know. There's no other musical number in the movie. There's no one else who sings. It's not a musical. It's not someone just singing a song while being accompanied by piano. It's not like, play it again, Sam. No. She's just singing out of nowhere for no reason. She's not even staring at anything. What's she looking at? What are you looking at, little girl? I'm sorry. I've been waiting a while. I don't often get to talk about Hook for some reason, and it's been bubbling up for a while. Jeez. Oh, okay.
This is that episode.
This is not that episode. I think we're going to move swiftly on now. I think it's now time to talk about the reason why you're actually fucking here. Let's talk about Lifeline. So, how did Lifeline came about? What was the moment of inspiration when the seed of potential germinated within your brain?
You articulate so well. I have to
It's called being pretentious.
I have to say, so Lifeline, it came about when I was thinking, how can I get my name out there more? Being a writer, aspiring writer, like trying to get your name out there and really get people's attention. Um,
I just
I
stand on the
was
side
trying
of the
to
road and say, "Notice me! Notice me!"
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um,
Surprisingly, it doesn't really work.
no, no, you can't just shout at people. You gotta
Oh,
kind of be
now you
smooth
tell
about
me,
it.
jeez.
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah, you
whole
gotta be.
shtick. It's all that I do.
Well, maybe it works better for others. I'm not very much of a shouter, so
Yeah, you're more of the articulate, intellectual, and creative type. I get it.
I don't know about that. um, yeah, I mean, so it really yeah, so I wanted to bring together a project, make a project, write something. I mean, I was itching to write. I actually have all of seasons scripted, like every book and everything. I really wanted to get the entire series written
Hmm.
before I worked on anything else because I was such in a mindset of Fletcher and that whole character and the story. I didn't want to get it. I didn't want it to get away from me.
Hmm.
So after I had finished it, I was like, well, what's next? What's next for me? And seasons is such a big thing that I thought, well, I just want to do something kind of simple and
Oh, this is
uh,
simple for you. Okay.
well, simple in the sense of writing it, writing a complete story from beginning to end. Uh, that's not, like 500 so pages like seasons became. But with Lifeline, I wanted to. It really came about through this need to create with other people because I had my artist for seasons, Anthony Gonzalez Clark. He's such a great artist. I love working with him so much. But also, I wanted to broaden my connections, and I wanted to work with other people. And I'm an artist, like lover. I love looking at different people's art, and I follow so many people on like Instagram and Tumblr
I,
and
I,
stuff.
I heard you say that like I'm an artist lover, as in I make love to artists. It was like, okay, I don't need to hear about that. Jeez.
No, it's very much just this respect and this our artists are just I think artists are just so amazing. I love seeing what people can do and how different styles come out from people and what they're trying to convey and articulate with visuals. I think it's such a I envy that because I mean I'm okay I'm an okay artist. Like I used to draw all the time, but I'm nowhere near as good as I should be if I wanted to like draw my own comic. But even though it's a simple story, in the fact that just uh, beginning to end, you get the full story. It has 7 different artists working on it, and from all around the world, and that's what makes it such a big project in scope. And even though because I when I was writing it, I thought this is um, you follow with Lifeline is the story of one man's life, and he's not a you know an insane sociopath. He's just a regular guy. He's not a the best person ever, or like a historical figure. He's just someone who lives.
He's
Um,
Lewis.
Yeah, he's Lewis. Yeah, like he's Lewis, and that's him. And um, I thought, well, I can't. I didn't want to just write a comic book story that was just like it had this. I wanted it to be more interesting than just about than just having this a guy's life. I thought, well, how can I make this more interesting? And then as I was thinking about it more and more, I thought, well, what if I could work with different artists on this book, and each chapter could be drawn by a different artist, and that's when it clicked for me, and that's when I thought, when I was writing it, actually, I thought, oh, I could work with this person, or I could work with this person, and I made
Why
a list.
choose?
Yeah, like I made a list of all these different people, and because Anthony's working, on seasons, and so I thought, well, I don't want to bother him about it, and I didn't have anyone, I had that was my first book, so I hadn't made any other connections with other artists, and so this was the time to work with other people and to throughout the process of um, marketing seasons and getting it out there. I had made so many connections with other artists and people I really am, long distance friends with, just online, and I loved their work, and I thought, oh, it'd be an honor to work with all these other people.
And so you conscripted them.
Yeah, basically. Um, yeah, and what's so cool is that with the technology we have today, I can work with anyone, around the world. Like, and I know, Lyndon White, he's been on here 3 or 4 times on
Hmm.
PodCapers,
Yeah, we
and
just
he's
had him
doing
a
chat.
couple of episodes ago talking about his upcoming book, Candles.
That's right. And he's doing chapter 3 of Lifeline,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's
I
what
remember
like.
seeing the previews for this, like a couple of bit of the artwork, and I thought, wow, this one artist looks a lot like Lyndon. Wow, did he rip him off? Wait a minute, it is Lyndon! Dear God, he
Oh,
gets around!
I know, and he was one of the people that I really wanted to work with. I thought, please, Lyndon, like have your schedule free, and I caught him. He told me, you caught me at the perfect time because he was in between like projects, and I was like, yes, like this is perfect. Like I'm so glad you want to do this and work with me. And he was actually the first person that I contacted about Lifeline because I needed to have him, so I thought if I can get him at the earliest, maybe he can't do it then, but at least he knows about it, and we could like schedule something. So he was really gracious in lending his talent to this book, and it's so cool because every different chapter has its own style, and but all the styles I feel like complement each other, and it really makes for an interesting experience. And if you don't like one style, you might like all the others, or you might just like a few. And so I think it kind of caters to all these different I guess you could say preferences in art, and it kind of brings. I wanted to bring people together with this project, and I wanted to show people that comics is very community centered, and I love the comics industry for being that way. It's a reason why I'm sticking with it, and I love working with all these people because they want to help each other out, and Lifeline is about that. It's about bringing a total of 9 people, including a colorist for one of the chapters, and then the letterer, like 9 people together from all around the world and making this one project happen. And it's like when I was writing it, I was like, yeah, I wonder if this is possible. I don't know, but at the same time, I thought, yeah, surely it is. And then when I got everything together and all the art together, and I've been working on this the past year, and when it finally got done, and I was like, okay, the Kickstarter, like, this, I need to launch this soon. And I was putting all the art together and looking at it all, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is a big deal. Like it hadn't really settled with me yet because
It's almost
I,
like working with 7 artists on one big story is going to be a bit of a project.
yeah, but I don't know. I guess I was just so in it when I was like writing it, and then also I worked with these artists. Sometimes I worked with like 2 or 3 at a time, but mainly I tried to work with one person at a time so I wouldn't stretch myself too thin. That way I could make sure each chapter was exactly how I needed it to be.
Okay, so Lyndon,
But
what I want you to do for this chapter is, my name's Emily. Oh, whoops.
yeah, right. Um, it's so like I didn't want to I didn't want to confuse people with that, and I wanted to make sure that I was writing to people's strengths and communicating to people not in a way that makes them feel like that they're being a part of something truly special, that they can really like put their best work and kind of use them to their best ability to make their artwork shine and how they want to interpret the script or what have you. So um, and they're all different ages too, like all the different artists. Like the youngest of them is one of my best friends who lives here in my city, Caden. He's the artist of chapter 2, and he's 20 years old. And then we have Erwin J. Arosa, who's the artist of chapter 6, and he's in his 50s. So it's like I love I love getting all these, people together
What's
from all different walks of life. And he lives in Irwin, he lives in the Philippines, in Linden, he lives in the UK. And I'm like, all right, like this is such a
This is a global thing. You've
yeah,
gone international.
yeah, and I think what's so ironic about that fact is that it's a very simple story, but it's so big, the scope of it.
Well, I don't think it is a simple story because I don't think anyone's life is particularly simple. There are complications, perhaps mundane and naturalistic, but still complications. Our life does not have to be extraordinary to be interesting.
Hmm. Yeah, that's definitely true. I hear you there. I guess when it comes to comics, and just, I guess the visual medium, it's you want to, there's always like, all this, superheroes versus villains and total, crazy creations that people make. And I thought, I'm just showing this guy grow old. Like that's what I'm doing throughout this book. Like this character is aging. Lewis is aging.
But I
And
mean, one of the greatest movies ever made, and certainly one of the most popular movies ever made, was a story just like that, Forrest Gump. And yes, it was a
that's true. Yeah.
very interesting life that he led, but it was just seeing this guy go through his life. There wasn't anything particularly like they could have done a whole movie just about him and the war, but it wasn't just about that. They could have done a whole
Yeah.
movie about him playing football in college, but it wasn't just about that. They could have done a whole movie about him just raising up his son after his. What did he ever get married? No, he did get married. But the point is
No.
that it's that whole buildings romance sort of thing. This coming of age journey can sometimes be interesting because when you look at one individual thing, yeah, it can be interesting when you partition some things. But sometimes someone's whole life just fascinates you, and it could be people who do very interesting things, or people who live their life because. Again, it comes down to because the interesting thing I think about Lifeline is, whilst the central character, the focus is Lewis, every single chapter is about him interacting with a different person and their perspective on him.
Yeah, and that's what really makes it so much more of a interesting story because every chapter and also is told from the perspective of one of those characters, one of those people that he is interacting with. So, chapter one is told from the perspective, narrated, by Lewis's father. Lewis is a young child, and it's his 8th birthday, and you have his father like talking about his son, and so you get to learn about Lewis in each of these chapters through the eyes of someone that he knows, and that along I made that connect with the art styles too. That's what I wanted because I thought if I could have each chapter told from a different person's perspective, that means the art can change as well, and that's what makes sense of it all, and that's what makes it connect and makes it work. And I really wanted to, make that click with everyone, and I feel like every artist really connected with that chapter in their style, and that's every artist that was working on Lifeline. I tried to make sure that their style could be used to the best for that story because it needed to the visuals needed to convey the story too, and maybe it's to some people it might seem subliminal or like a subconscious add to it, but for me it's a very integral, essential part of the entire project.
Yeah, because different people's life can be defined in different ways, so why not do it
Yeah.
in an art style? I think this is a good point to talk about the individual artists. So starting from the very first page, as it were, let's go through all the artists. So who's the first artist?
Okay, so Patrick Biermeyer, he's the artist of the present day pages, and there's 6 chapters in Lifeline, but each chapter there are chapter breaks, and that's the present day storyline that you'll always come back to after you finish a chapter, and those will be kind of preludes to each chapter, and you'll get to see some of the characters.
That's the bear in the swimming pool of it all.
Yeah. So.
What does it mean? What does it mean? Oh, it means Q fucked up. Okay.
So yeah, there's Patrick Biermeyer, Chapter 1 artist is Emily Schnall. Chapter 2 is Caden Quinn. Chapter 3 is Lyndon White. Chapter 4 is Scott Austin.
He's my favorite.
Really?
Because he has the same name. No other reason.
Oh, okay.
I haven't read that chapter. I haven't had a chance to read it, so...
I thought you actually liked his art.
Unfortunately, I've not had any experience with that artist, but he has the same name as me, which means he's my favorite. I own him now. I claim him.
So there's Scott Austin, Chapter 4. Chapter 5 is Ren Noen, and Chapter 6 is Erwin J. Rosa.
And as I say, they're all international. Some of them from America. I think actually Scott Austin is he from Norway?
He's Sweden.
Sweden. Sorry, Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
And Owen is from the Philippines, and London is, as I say, from here. So so very diverse, very interesting group of people that you've got together to do all these things. And it's interesting because sometimes you see like anthology series that maybe follow similar themes or ideas with different artists. It's rare, at least that I see, the same story told within the same book, as it were, told through different artists. That's not something I get to see very often. I find it a very intriguing concept.
Yeah, I was trying to research and trying to like see, has this been done before?
Am I ripping anyone off? Am I ripping anyone off?
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the last thing that you want to do as a writer is, put something out there and then you have that one comment that says, "This is exactly like this," and you're like, "Oh, okay, that's
shit." And now the lawyers are coming. Great.
Yeah, time to go in my hole for a little bit and never come back.
Well, time to burn this identity.
Yeah, I need an alias now, a different name. And so I was really curious to see if anything like Lifeline had been done before, and I've yet to see a comic project, graphic novel project that I would love if someone could share with me like something like this.
The closest example I can think of is one of the issues of Alias, the Jessica Jones comic, because it has the usual artist for most of it, but then it has flashbacks to back when she used to be a superhero, and that's drawn by, I think, I can't remember the artist, is Mark Bagley? He used to do Ultimate Spider-Man.
I think you're right.
Yeah, and who's one of my favourite artists, if I'm being honest. But that was only that one sort of thing, and it's only done for the flashback, and it's not exactly in the same way that you've done it, so it's kind of similar, but only in the vaguest sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of the time, I've seen, comics that, like you said there, where you have the present day story, and then they'll go back in time, and maybe it's a different artist, but
flashback.
Yeah, flashback. Like, I mean that's a great way to convey it without hitting it, beating a dead horse and trying to get the reader to be like, this is not the same story. Like when you
oh my god, there was this one art style, but then it became different, so this means it must take place in the past. I get it now.
Yeah, it's like when you watch a really complicated movie with your grandparents or something, and they're like, now wait a second, like
someone smeared Vaseline all over the lens. This must be in a different place.
Yeah, like I couldn't, like there are these times where I've been watching like a movie, and it doesn't even have to be like grandparents. It could just be someone just a lot older than me, and they're like, now wait a second, is this the same story, or did they go somewhere else? And I'm like, it's pretty apparent. Like, it's like,
are you watching the same movie as I am? Obviously, it's a dream / flashback / Red Room from Twin Peaks. Something is different.
Yeah, like I think unless something's not working right up there, I don't know.
It appears that the cinematographer has just had a stroke.
Yeah. So yeah, like I think Lifeline is totally a one of a kind collaborative project that is yet to be, I would say, done before in this broad.
Something original? Dare we hope?
I try. I always try that with anything I do. I want to put my heart and soul into it and try to make something that no one has seen before, or at least maybe they've seen it before, they can you know, understand it right off the bat, but at the same time give them an entirely fresh and new experience that it feels like it's original.
Absolutely, because there's
That
like 5 stories we're just telling over and over again, so you might as well just make it seem like it's not one of those 5 stories. Trick people into thinking you're original. But I do think it's original, and that is partially due to A, your writing, and B, the artist, and how each of them just seems, based on what I've been able to pick up, seems to very comfortable in their particular chapters and the particular time frames. So was it a deliberate choice to assign certain artists to certain chapters?
yes, definitely.
So what was that process
I wanted,
like?
yeah, I wanted to like for instance with Lyndon White with Limbo, chapter 3 Limbo is what it's called.
Let's take
Um,
place in the 1980s.
yeah, it's in the 1980s, and it's a severe thunderstorm is approaching, and this conversation that Lewis is having with his best friend on this apartment rooftop,
A
and
safe place to have a conversation during a thunderstorm.
right, and it it I knew writing it, I pictured Lyndon's work as I was finishing the chapter, and it just it there are some chapters like I knew for chapter 3 I wanted Lyndon. I knew for chapter 5 I wanted Rin Noan from he lives in San Francisco, and for chapter 6 I knew I wanted Irwin. For chapters 1, 2, and 4 I was kind of debating on a few different people, but it really came down to uh, their styles and what I felt could like chapter 4 for instance by Scott Austin. It's totally in blue tone, like the colors. It's one color palette. It's like a light blue, white and blacks like colors, and that's because the story in itself is very somber and poignant.
Because
It's
there's some
about
serious business going on.
yeah, and I'd seen some of his other blue tone work that he'd done, and I loved it. And I thought, well,
And
this is
also, I just realised, considering the subject, we won't go too heavily into spoilers, but considering the
yeah,
subject matter of what a certain character is proposing or revealing to Lewis, the blue thing makes even more sense, as that can be often as indicated as a factor for confirming a thing that I'm trying to hint at, but don't want to hint at too strongly.
yeah, exactly. I
Read the
that's
book, Capers, you'll find out!
I know, and I want to tell people that all the time. Sometimes people ask me all the time, like, so what's this about? Even with seasons, and I'm like, well, it is available to read, but I love talking about like I can't wait for people to read the book Lifeline and to ask me questions and talk about which chapter was their favorite. Like I can't wait for people to tell me like, oh, I really love this chapter, and I really loved how you connected, some of the themes or some of the visuals. Because what's really cool, and if you're really paying attention within the story of Lifeline, you see a lot of things connect in terms of the narrative, but also in terms of Lewis. Physically for him, you'll see that. So in chapter 2, he is a teenager. It's senior prom night, and his who will come to know as his future wife, Aline. She's
Come
partying
on,
like
Eileen. Oh, I swear she's
yeah,
thinking at this moment. You mean everything. I'm sorry, I have to sing that song every time someone mentions that name. It's the law over here. It's the law.
yeah. No, I love that song. I'm a big fan. So
Dexy forever.
yeah. So Aline, she's with her friends and they're driving. They're kind of partying and stuff. And um, the driver of the vehicle, Lewis, he doesn't go to prom. He's like an outsider. He's like, I'm not doing this stupid thing. And
I'm too cool for school, man.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Lewis is my man. And he he's riding his bike just out there. He's enjoying himself, and the car he gets hit by the car, and he gets this scar, like he falls off his bike and all that kind of stuff, and he gets this big gash on under his right eye, And from that chapter on, you get to see this scar throughout, the entirety of the book. And, each artist that I worked with, I made it clear to them. I was like, now remember, he's gonna have this scar, on under his right eye, and we have to keep this, for
Don't
the
forget it.
continuity.
Don't forget the scar. Don't forget the scar.
Yeah,
Lyndon, I'm looking at you. Don't forget the scar.
yeah. I was like, I remember every time I got pages back. Sometimes there might be like a panel or something, um, and the like wasn't the scar, and so I'd be like, now what? Now there's a scar that's supposed to be here, and it's a really little detail. Like I don't fault anyone for missing that, but it's really important just for the continuity of the
Continuity.
character.
God, everyone
Yeah,
said at the same time.
right. And then also in chapter one, and you can read the entire first chapter on the Kickstarter page, but Lewis is gifted this wristwatch from his dad, and it's a gift that his mom has passed away. It's a gift that his mom wanted to give to Lewis when he was old enough, and his dad finally gives it to him on his 8th birthday. And excuse me, he gives him this watch, and it's this. He wears it on his left wrist, and he wears this watch throughout the entire book. In each chapter, you see him wear it, and it's the same wristwatch, and it's just a little minute, detail that is for the character, but it's really important, especially by the very end of the story. You get to see why it's very important, and it's
Like a
something
talisman almost.
yeah, yeah, it's like this memento, and something that he's had all of his life, and I think that's really important. Throughout all your life, there's always something that you grow up with and you have forever. That's always a part of you, and
That could be a
uh,
physical thing or a physical part of yourself, like a physiological
yeah,
thing.
yeah, of course, of course. And that's I when I was writing the story, I thought that would be really cool and really, I think, a good way to keep readers, I guess, invested and interested, because they see um, things happen to this character and how it plays out in the end, and it pays off. I really love giving the reader the reward of finishing a story and going, that's why that was there. Like, that's really important, and then it'll
What
make
I
them,
like to call the oh moment.
yeah, yeah, and I love those moments so much. Anytime I read a story or watch a movie, it's so very satisfying, and it's one of the best gifts that you can give readers when you actually make them feel that way. And I want to make my readers feel everything. In each chapter of Lifeline, I want you to feel a certain emotion, and I want it to resonate with you in a certain way. And I hope that I can do that, and I hope that I have accomplished that.
I'd say you have. I mean, I pretty much connected with this kid right off the bat, just reading the preview pages, and I'm interested to see where it's gonna go. And it seems to be going pretty damn well so far. Because talking about the Kickstarter, this got released, got put up yesterday on the 1st of December at time of recording.
Yes.
And right now, currently, as we are speaking, it is at, in pounds, it is at £1,103 sterling.
Yes, it is. I mean,
In two
for
days!
yeah, in 2 days, like not even, not even 48 hours. It's we're 25% funded already.
Out of a
Yeah.
£4,312 goal. I don't know what that is in Monopoly money. I'm sorry, American currency.
Yeah, it's 5,500 US dollars.
5,500. Okay, right. So, yeah, I don't know exchange rates. So it's going pretty damn well, you'd say. It looks like you're going to be funded by the end of the month. Clearly, you've gotten your work out there. People are very interested in this.
Yes, it's been so exciting and so encouraging to see people, want this to work, to be a living, breathing project that people can, read everywhere around the world. And it really means so much to me that I've gotten this much support and so little time, especially compared to the Seasons Kickstarter. Like, when that launched, that was my first book, and this is my second, and I can totally tell that people are coming back, that they liked what I did before. And then, I'm bringing everyone's fan bases, all these artists' fan bases to this book too. And I want people to not just, be like, oh, this is a good story. I like this concept, but I want them to look at the art and, really
Need to see
support.
it.
Yeah, like it's so just, you've never seen anything like it before, and it's one of the best projects that I think crowdfunding can be used for. I think it's kind of the epitome of what I think crowdfunding is about, is bringing people together and putting something out there that otherwise wouldn't be made. And Lifeline captures that in totality. And like I said, it's been crazy. Like we've compared to my first Kickstarter, like this is a lot faster. We're getting a lot more people on this book than I had thought, and I'm so excited for it to fund. And I have a really good feeling about this one. I think it's gonna do really well, and I really hope we can hit the last stretch goal, because I really want to make it a hardcover, and that's something that I've always loved about graphic novels. But even if I just get the physical book out there, that's what I'm really wanting. And something I think listeners should know, and people that are backing the Kickstarter is, this isn't for me. It's never writing these stories and making these books. The campaign is solely to print and ship the book. It's not about making money or trying to like make money off all this.
Get the book out there. Make sure people can read it.
Yeah. So something that I think listeners would really like to know, and I want them to know, and anyone that's backing the Kickstarter, is that none of the money that's going to this project, is going to me or anything in the sense that I'm getting paid for this. Like it's all for the printing and shipping of the book, and of paying for the rest of the production and the lettering and the art and all that kind of stuff. And it's solely to make this story a reality, and to bring this dream project of mine to life. And stories, there's stories are priceless to me. Like you can't really put on a price on a story that really touches you and moves you. And stories have like changed me throughout my life, and that's something that
I don't know. A lot of people in Hollywood seem to find a way to do that.
Yeah, that's I guess in my idealistic vision, I would hope for the best for a story, but I will say it's a really a tragedy that Hollywood does what they do.
I mean, to a certain extent, yeah. I mean, I made my peace with the fact that people will use art to make money. That's fine, as long as you don't compromise the artistic vision. As long as
Yeah,
you
yeah.
are in fact. It is about the art and not necessarily about the money, and the money's just like, okay, great, we made money off of this great piece of art, great. And it's not, the money is a means for the art and not as the other way around, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my
Mhm.
artistic version. I know that's not the case for a lot of people, but I'm glad that you're, let me put it this way, if you did keep some of the money from the Kickstarter in order to fund you and pay your rent and make sure you don't starve to death, I would be fine with that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that's totally valid. Like, and people should get paid, for their work. And I like the idea for myself, just trying to make something that isn't about the money. I love creating art and trying to put it together and work with all these other people. But I totally 100% agree with you.
Absolutely. So what are some of the rewards people can get for backing this project?
Yes, we have some really, really great rewards, and I think some of the best that always excites me when I see a Kickstarter campaign have some of these rewards. So, like for instance, you can get a PDF copy of the book digital for only $10, and that's really exciting. So just for $10, you can get the entire story. But then you can get the physical book for $20. And I don't know how this translates in pounds, but
Don't ask me.
anyway.
I don't have a fucking clue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
But
there was a time at once when I thought, well, it would have been a lot more pounds or a lot less pounds, or however the exchange rate works, because, the pound's doing so well. Oh, look, Brexit happened. Yeah.
yeah, it changes.
Yeah, it changes when you half the country vote for something stupid. Oh, not even that. I'm sorry. I just to derail the conversation again to go talk about that. I just remember sitting with my flatmates watching the referendum results come in, all of Scotland voting against, most of England voting for it, and then my flatmate got out his mobile phone, just looked at something, and says, "Oh look, the pound is in freefall." And we saw the numbers literally plummeting in front of our eyes as the numbers for the Leave campaign rose, almost as if one was a counterweight for the other.
Oh my, yeah, that'd be a shocker right there.
Yes, I will never forget that night because it's just like, oh shit, we're fucked. We're just fucked. This is how we know we're fucked. So, like, there's no like, oh, how did this happen moment. No. We're gonna remember this.
This is right before our very eyes. We saw this happen.
yeah. Literally, the news, thankfully, very kindly gave us little graphics to see just how badly we were all fucked.
Yeah, they were like, you're gonna witness this too. This is this is for all you
just
guys.
so you can all fully understand how deep in the shit we are. Oh god, but moving back on. So there's lots of rewards for various stages.
Yeah, I wanted to say, like, some of the most exciting ones. You can get drawn into the story. You can actually be like a character in the Lifeline story, which is, I think, one of the best rewards that we're offering. You can also...
I'm not going to go for that because I think it would slightly be a bit distracting if you saw a guy with red and blue 3D glasses just wandering around in the background of your comic. The readers were just like, okay, but why?
Oh no, I think it'd be really interesting. I think it would add some color to it. You're like I wanna know who that guy is. What's up with him?
What's his deal? Jeez, what's going on in his life that makes him think that that's an acceptable fashion choice?
Lifeline 2.0.
2.0. And then he moved around for a lot in his childhood, did absolutely fuck all, and then went to university, left, and then started working for a place to hang your cape. It was, and then he travelled through time. It was a whole thing. Guys, so there's a lot of rewards on offer, and it is really worth backing this project, even if you're not interested in some of the higher tiers, because I mean, it looks so good, and partially you've been able to communicate that very well because you do what every single Kickstarter should do, is you've got a video.
Yeah, and video is very important to, right off the bat to include one. And something that I love about the video, I was so excited about this, was I knew I wanted each artist's face like a part of the video. Like I wanted someone who was a potential backer to watch the video and put a face to their art. And so I contacted every artist and I asked them if they would send, a 10 to 15 second clip of, them saying where they're from, their name, and which chapter they're doing, and, asking for support. And thankfully, and I was so happy about this, each artist gave me, a video of themselves, and I edited it all and put it in one video. And it's I remember putting it together. It was one of those things where, just like with the art, when I put all the art together and then doing this video, I was like, wow, like this is amazing. Like seeing all these people come together and working with all these people. Some of them I didn't even, talk to, just emailed them, like we just talked over the internet. And so like, seeing their face and putting it all together was really satisfying and really just so cool to me that we could.
So that's what you look like. Now I can now put a name to your face.
I wasn't expecting that. But yeah,
that's why I don't have a webcam when I do these things anymore.
So yeah, it's so anyone you watch the video, you get to see everyone who's a part of the project, every artist, and they talk about their chapter a little bit. And
I think it's really great that you do that because it's nice to include all the artists, but also because it gives the whole project a sense of being a bit less ephemeral and being a bit more real. It's like, oh, this is a real thing. These are some of the real people that have genuinely worked on. It feels like it's more part of a team thing that you're doing, and it feels more concrete.
Yeah. I think it really makes backers like see that this is
This is for real, people. We're doing this.
Yeah, like this is an actual thing. Like I'm not just, making this up or working with one artist that's doing different styles. Like these are all different people from all around the world, and you really get to feel that, and you get to see that for yourself. And rest assured, like this is what this is. Like it's I'm not joshing you. This is a real thing.
Guys, this is totes for realsies.
Yeah, for like. As we say now, some people are like, for real. And I'm like, what do you mean for real? They're like, yeah, for real. And I'm like, oh. Okay.
Yes, I wouldn't lie to you about that. That would be a weird thing to make up.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
It's because, I don't know, we see the comic book industry as sort of like this, I don't know, exclusive, otherworldly thing where people meet in shadowy places and just churn out all these stories from some unreachable, unattainable Mount Olympus, but you're just a guy who exists in the world who's made this fantastic thing.
Yeah, and I think I love that about the project too. I just want to be me, and I just want to write my stories, and I hope people enjoy them, and I want to be connected with my fan base, and like if they email me or if they leave a comment or something. Like I love talking to people that are invested and want to know about the book, and I think putting face to your name really helps people get that connection and feel like they're actually helping you and supporting you, and not just kind of you're not hiding behind anything. You're really putting yourself out there and connecting with the audience.
So. Assuming the project is fully backed, which I think it's safe to say is a safe bet that it will be, when can people hope to finally read Lifeline?
So from the estimates that I've made, I believe that people will be able to read Lifeline around late spring, early summer of next year. I'm hoping for like May of next year.
Just in time for my birthday.
Hey, there we go. That'd be a great birthday present.
Yeah, it will. And so hopefully then we'll be able to see it then. I kind of want it now. I'm an impatient bastard, Nando. I want it now. But anyway, I will try to be patient and try to look forward. In the meantime...
You said you were a time traveler.
I time traveled. I'm not a time traveler, okay? There's a big difference. Like it was a thing I did for a little while. It's over now, never again. Trust me. But oh god. So in the meantime, while we're waiting for that, and while waiting for seasons to continue, is there anything else that's in the pipeline? Anything else you're working on?
Not anything I'm ready to share yet. I'm definitely working on a few things, and I've been brainstorming a few different projects. I do want to say that my next project will be completely different from Seasons or Lifeline. I love challenging myself, and I love trying to create stories that kind of make me take on a different either genre or personality type or anything that can make me excited and make me not feel like I'm writing what I've written before. So
you want to push yourself, you want to challenge yourself, and that's something that's so great, because so many writers find something that they're good at and then they stick with it, and that's fine. But I do like when artists push themselves, so we can have a signature a voice, as it were, spread across a wide variety of ideas and concepts.
Yes, yeah, and I totally agree with you. It's really fascinating you bring that up, because so my day job, I work at a bookstore. I'm assistant manager at a local bookstore here, and
in Jefferson City, Missouri.
Yes, that's right.
I'm pretty sure that's not the accent you have down there, but what the hell? I'll make up one. You're French now. That's not even French. What's wrong with me? It's late capers. There's a time difference.
There is a big time difference.
6 hours behind me he is.
I know, it's only, what is it? It's only 4 o'clock here.
It's 10. It's like 10 over here. It's past my bedtime. I'm in my jammies.
Yeah, tomorrow's Monday morning. We got work to do.
You've got work to do. I've got tomorrow off.
Oh, well, hey, that makes me feel better.
I'm going to be
Uh,
playing Red Dead Redemption 2. What are you going to be doing?
oh, I'm gonna be working at my local bookstore.
Bringing it back to that, yeah.
Yeah, so I was gonna say that I see so many authors. These are novels, but I see so many authors putting out the same thing. Like a James Patterson or a Clive Cussler or Vince Flynn or I don't know all these different Janet Ivanovich, all these
Danielle
writers.
Steele, I don't know.
Yeah, you nailed that one. It's like it gets tiring, Like I'm like, oh, this looks like your last book.
Yeah.
But some people love that. I mean, I have a lot of customers come in, and they're like, when is the new Daniel Steele book going to come out? And inside I weep, but
Yeah.
on the outside I go, oh yeah, it's out already, and this is it. And
Because,
they're
I mean,
like,
it's almost like a TV series in that way. You expect a
yeah,
certain amount of consistency. If a TV series changed dramatically from season to season, then people might not like it anymore. So it's a bit different with books, but at the same time, it is interesting when you get writers like Stephen King or someone like that who
yeah.
do maybe have similar ideas or recurring themes or characters or concepts across multiple books, but ultimately each book is dramatically different.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Stephen King is a really great example of that.
I just started reading like my first Stephen King book ever. I'm reading like The Stand.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And not
That's
even like the original, apparently it's like the omnibus with all the uncut bits put back into it version.
oh cool. That's got to be really good.
It is really good stuff. I'm actually really into it. I was always a bit hesitant of Stephen King because I don't like horror. I've said that many times in the show.
Mhm.
But the way he writes is just, it really brings you into this world. It's just like, well, shit, I'm on this journey now.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
in
and
that way, you're very similar. You sucker me into the journey of these characters. And with Stephen King, it's different because there's all sorts of fantastical shit going on. There's like hotels exploding and shit. But with
yeah.
you, it's more naturalistic. But I still am so 100% invested. I think that is the mark of a very good writer.
Oh, hey, thank you so much. I so appreciate that.
It's not at all. So Capers. This has the PodCapers seal of approval on it. Back it if you can, and if you can't, wait on tenterhooks for it to be released, and then go and get it. Just get it because it's good. And if you can't do that, go and get Seasons because that also has the seal of approval on it. It is both great because for so many all the reasons we talked about, and
Yeah,
because it's one of the, if you really just want to go on a journey with a person and a really intriguing character, and you want that experience, these are the books for you. Get them. Do it. I command you. Heed my commands! And on that
oh,
pretentious and pompous note, I think we're going to end the show. Thank you very much for joining me today.
hey, thank you so much, Scott. I really appreciate it.
Not at all. And if you enjoy the show, Capers, please tell your friends, shout it from the rooftops! And if you haven't already, go back and listen to some of our other super episodes. Like a couple of episodes ago, we're talking with Lyndon White as well. He was great. And you can listen to the show on iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, Spotify, or at podcapers.com. We have a Patreon. Check out the rewards. Patreon.com/AP2HYC. If you want to get in touch with us, suggest show topics, or maybe come on the show yourself, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at AP2HYC, or email us at podcapers@ap2hyc.com. Thank you very much to Dan Harris for our logo, the lovely microphone, the red and blue 3D glasses, those are mine, and thank you for listening. This has been PodCapers, the official podcast of A Place to Hang Your Cape. Cue the music!